Palestine, Ohio. And this comes more than 2 weeks after the train derailment threatened the small town. Governor Mike DeWine came under criticism for not requesting federal aid sooner. And then his office criticized FEMA over allegations FEMA was not stepping up to help. Meantime, there are new reports that former President Trump will be visiting East Palestine on Wednesday. Trump is expected to meet with community members. And now word that Erin Brockovich will also be in East Palestine for a town hall meeting. News Nation was the first network to speak with her after the disaster. The conditions are so bad that one woman who News Nation has been in contact with has rashes on her body after showering. Let's get to News Nation's Rich McHugh live on the ground in East Palestine, And Rich, you spoke with a couple who's already having some negative health effects.
Hey, good evening, Natasha. That's right. So the first news is that the CEO of Norfolk Southern was here today, finally after 2 weeks, showed up, met with officials in this church behind me, closed-door meetings, was escorted in and out by police, but was overheard telling someone he is here in support. The people we're speaking to don't buy it. For instance, they say that the health threat is real here, real time. One couple we spoke to went back to their house. We'd interviewed them earlier in the week. They went back to their house today for 30 minutes and had some crazy health effects. Take a look.
Okay, yeah, this train company, North Corp or whatever, needs to be punished heavily for what has happened. They need to be required to pay for the cleanup of the site in the town, especially if the chemicals have spread. They should be required to make sure as much of the water can be cleaned as possible, and they should be required to pay for the health care of these people as long as they need it, because they are at a fault. A lot of these railroad companies are private, so the conditions of the railroad tracks are required by them to be maintained. And the braking systems and anything else of the trains. I mean, you can't be a private company and not keep your stuff maintained and then claim like it's the fault of, the current government or whatever. I mean, these companies can do what they want in order to, to keep their stuff maintained. It's like PG&E. They didn't keep their stuff maintained for years and years and years, and then boom, there's a fire because they wanted money over the maintenance of their equipment.
So we were in the kennel this morning picking up some supplies. We left. I went home home. I went back to the place where we were being evacuated.
Caitlin Schwartzwelder and her boyfriend Chris, after being evacuated, came back home today. But she says she broke out in a rash almost instantly.
I undressed to get into the shower, and I had a rash all over the side of my face, on both sides, and all over my chest.
Take a look at these photos of her this morning after coming back on her property. The rash all over her face, neck, and chest.
My boyfriend Chris also had a rash down his left side, and I mean, to this moment, right now, I have just a really low-grade, constant headache.
They live nearly a mile from the derailment and where Norfolk Southern released the toxins into the air 2 weeks ago.
Wow. And these people are supposed to believe that it's safe to be in this area after these extremely toxic chemicals were burned and released into the air and has seeped into the groundwater and stuff. I mean, if these people are taking showers after this water is supposed to be treated at a water treatment facility, and they're still developing rashes and stuff from chemicals in the water, well, that water is obviously not safe to drink or cook with or anything of this sort. North Corp needs to be required to pay for these people to be able to have their medical bills paid and the such, and like moving to a non-contaminated area and anything else that these people will need in the future.
But their issues clearly persist. But with FEMA finally coming and with all the focus directed at East Palestine, These folks say they're forgotten because they live just over the state line in Pennsylvania.
It feels like nobody gives a damn beyond us.
They, too, were forced to evacuate.
And what if we couldn't afford to do any of this?
My wife is 37 weeks pregnant this Friday, and she's going to be induced. And it's all a little scary because we can't drink the water, unable to get our water tested because we're not a priority as of now. So don't know what my newborn son is going to come home to.
John and Julie Kent fear the future of their horse sanctuary could be in jeopardy.
There was flames roughly a couple hundred feet into the sky. There was a black smoke cloud, and it was going over the horses. I would say that it was probably like no more than 10 feet above their head.
In the photos, you can see the toxic smoke flowing over their horses. They worry if they'll survive.
The horses and myself and anybody that was here really in this general vicinity was exposed.
And while the
Yeah, imagine the long-term effects these people are going to be dealing with from inhaling these toxic fumes. Vinyl chloride is not something you want to be inhaling. I mean, these people are going to be having a lot of these people are going to have a lot of upcoming medical issues. And again, North Corp should be required to pay for these people's medical bills for the rest of their lives. If a company has an accident, even if it's not, well, at this moment, for the most part, I mean, even if the accident is not of their fault, let's say they have kept their, equipment maintained, their, railways maintained, their braking systems up to date, and not using, braking systems from like the Civil War and stuff. They should still be required to pay for people's medical health if they have an accident, because it is still their fault.
Governor of Ohio and others have said repeatedly the air and water is safe. It's clear that some of the toxins have taken hold. A couple of miles outside of town, this is Leslie Run. I've heard this is happening. I didn't quite believe it, but watch this. So when you stick this stick in the water, all the chemicals come to the surface in like rainbows. It's quite alarming. News Nation has asked Norfolk.
Yeah, how are these people supposed to drink water if the moment anything touches water, chemicals are released into it from the ground? Yeah, that city is basically a dead city now because of North Corp.
Southern CEO for an interview repeatedly, and we've sent a producer to their headquarters with no luck.
How does this whole experience feel for you?
That money matters more than humanity? Truly?
Well, I mean, we do live in a capitalist society, and in a capitalist society, money is all that matters. If you can pay people off or whatever, that makes everything okay. And we worship those that have as much money as possible, even if that means it's detrimental to everybody around them. Because money is the only goal, no matter what happens. The means justify the ends with a capitalist system.
Now, the police presence here has already stepped up just in the past 24 hours. FEMA is apparently going to be here tomorrow. Trump is coming midweek. So clearly things are ratcheting up. Natasha, back to you.
Thank you.